You're watching news at Prime. Let's get into another important discussion now. The African National Congress has reconfigured the leadership structures in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal following a poor showing in May's elections. Party elders like Amos Masondo, Jeff Radebe, Hope Papo and Mike Mabuyakhulu have been brought in to stabilise the provinces. Gauteng Cosatu chairperson is Amos Monyela, and he joins us now to react to the Gauteng leg of the reconfiguration. Mr. Monyela, good evening to you and thank you very much for your time. Are you confident in the power and strength of the elders that have been attached to Gauteng as to them helping the province to turn things around?
Good evening, colleague, to you and your viewers. I've not even been given the names of those, but if those are the names because they've been on the social media and the media platforms, that are the names that will be intervening in those. I've worked with Mr. Amos Masondo before. And I think with and Comrade Hope. Remember, Comrade Hope was the provincial secretary of the ANC at that time. I was still the chair of Cosatu, and I think the dynamics have changed. Probably the wisdom will be able to assist because in structures like this, they're always disruptive in their nature. But then, if the ANC believes that the two leaders that they've drawn in as elders who are going to provide guidance and rebuild the ANC or renew the ANC in the province, I think let's give them the benefit of doubt from where we are.
Your language is not convincing, Mr. Monyela. I can tell you, listening to you right now, what are your reservations about these two leaders, Hope Papo and Amos Masondo?
I don't necessarily have reservations. Like I said, we've worked with Comrade Hope. He was the provincial secretary. He's a man with a lot of integrity. As to whether all of the factions of the ANC will be able to manage, that's another question. But then in terms of him as an individual who can drive, so that's the kind of a person. Braambi, Mr. Masondo, has been out of touch with the politics of Gauteng. He resides in Cape Town now. So I will know as to whether, because he was also at some part the deputy convener of the election structure in the province. So I'm not too sure as to whether his age and wherever he is will be at par with what is currently happening on the ground. But like I said, we're giving them a benefit of doubt. Probably they'll provide a particular wisdom that the current leadership does not have in terms of the views of the African National Congress.
I'll tell you why I'm focusing the attention on this particular angle of the conversation, and that's that you are dealing with very strong characters. Panyaza Lesufi, at times, he has been at loggerheads with the Secretary General of the ANC, the current Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula. And so if you are going to place him alongside or toe-to-toe with Amos Masondo, because he's the convener, might he have the power and strength to rein him in to say, Mr. Lesufi, you've got to tone down here. This is not how we're going to turn this ship around. I'm merely asking for a question about the abilities of Mr. Masondo to provide leadership.
I've not seen that side on Mr. Masondo's abilities. I know that leadership capabilities he has, but then as you are putting it, you've got a strong figure like Panyaza Lesufi. I'm not too sure as to whether toning down, because what we've seen in Panyaza Lesufi is that he's articulating the positions of the ANC and moving along with those. So if they were to tone him down, I'm not too sure as to whether Braambi, as we call him, will have a difficulty working with a person of the caliber of Panyaza Lesufi, because Panyaza Lesufi is a disciplined member of the ANC. ANC, and I think he might have accepted this. I never had a conversation with him on this, but he might have accepted what is happening going forward. And my belief is that if I were to talk to him, I'm going to say, whatever thing that happens, it is about building your organization, and I think you may not go outside the limits that you might be given. But that will not say limit you on the basis of serious political and ideological issues, serious issues relating to the provincial government of national unity that exclude the DA. So we wouldn't appreciate the situation where you take him out of that particular space. But then I think that's what these leaders should work together towards achieving what the ANC wants them to achieve. Because if they are going to be disruptive amongst themselves and show power play, whatever thing the ANC is trying to do is not going to find any success.
So let's talk about the cure, therefore, for what ails Gauteng right now and has placed it electorally in the position that it is in at the moment. It didn't win a majority, and that's why it has to be in a coalition government. What were some of the issues that have brought the ANC way below 50% in Gauteng, and do you think those can be cured?
Well, these are historical issues. If you know that Gauteng is an economic hub, and the opposition parties have also placed their energy into the province, and you can also, when I'm talking about historical, then you can go from the 2016 local government elections up until where we are today. That in fact the ANC in general has been shedding vote. I think for me, just targeting KZN and Gauteng by the NEC is just unfortunate, because not only them have lost the majority. Go to the Western to the Western Cape, they're still they have not recovered. Go to Northern Cape, they've shed the votes. Go to Mpumalanga, all the provinces have not achieved the way they were supposed to be achieving. But then we knew, the narrative from the media, the narrative from everyone was that the target in Gauteng. I believe that the national leadership would have also put more energy into Gauteng, taking into consideration its location, its strategic location in South Africa, and make sure that the African National Congress wins the elections. We as workers put our part. We were there side by side with the ANC, making sure that we woo workers to come and vote for the African National Congress, even in those difficult circumstances. Some of the issues are national issues. If you look on from the side of workers, when you're talking about national issues, workers will have to convince them about non-implementation of the final leg of Resolution 1 of 2018, which infuriated public servant workers. This is not a Gauteng issue. It's a national issue. There are issues of municipalities which we've lost. Gauteng has lost since 2016. Nothing much has been done to regain strength or regain the ground as the African National Congress from the 20. So all leaders of the ANC, all president of the ANC, all the entire NEC, members of the ANC must take responsibility other than shifting the responsibility to one, to a specific province and a specific PEC. I can tell you, Koli, it would have been worse if the fight that the ANC in Gauteng has put was not there. So there was that kind of a fight that was put. I think when you look into the polls, probably would have been below, Gauteng would have been below 25%. And the pace of the ANC together with the alliance worked hard to make sure that we don't get to that level. If you go to the reports, the research report from the ANC, they knew that this is where the ANC was going to be. It is nothing different. Mechanical that has happened. They knew, but in the work that was put in there had put almost 14% into that to make sure that there's a respectable outcome of an election. It was going to be difficult. All the parties have focused on the ANC. I think the MKP also factor came into. If you look into the votes that went to the MK party, all of those votes probably would have went to the African National Congress, or at least 10% of those votes that they've amassed in Gauteng. So it's an array of issues which have got national, which have got challenges of service delivery throughout government, and in particular even in municipalities. An array of issues. So I don't think that this time around collective responsibility is no longer the word that has been preached, because it was the word that has been preached that we must take collective responsibility on the outcome of the election since 2016.
Final question to you, sir, and very briefly, if you can. I accept when you say, yes, some of the issues here are national in nature, but there are specific issues to Gauteng where you ask yourself, has the leadership really reflected here as to the disenchantment from the voters? Issues of wastage. We still remember the schools that were fumigated at hundreds of millions of rand. I don't think anyone has taken accountability for that. Today, we're reporting about a contract, some contract about the Anglo Gold Ashanti Hospital, a private hospital where monies, taxpayers' monies, were poured into that. The SIU has now effectively made sure that this money is ultimately accounted for. I'm saying to you, those are the issues that perhaps have angered voters. Has the leadership in Gauteng reflected?
Well, Koli, at some point, I just don't want us to individualize this thing, because I can see when you're talking about the schools, issues of the schools and non-accountability, that is channeled to a particular level. But let me respond in this way. When that issue came into the surface, there were processes which were undertaken, and I think nothing was found. If there was something that was found, probably we will be moving into that thing, and probably it might have infuriated the voters, shunned the voters away from the African National Congress. The only Ashanti issue, I think that's what the leadership, I'm told that currently they're dealing with coming and find out where was the mischief and who might have benefited into that process. The real issues, probably those might be some of the issues, but then the real issues are many, except all of this. We can go, I can take you back on the state capture commission.
Don't go to state capture. So, no. Don't go to state capture, because that's national.
I want to give you an example.
Go to life as Go to life as
No, I want to give. Yes, yeah, let's go to life as for that matter, because if you're not talking about accountability. So that was a serious scandal in Gauteng. But then there was a process that was undertaken to deal with life as and I think the process is even going towards its logical conclusion. So if we talk about accountability, we'll also look into those kind of issues when we're talking to accountability. And all what I'm saying into the issue of the schools is that the process was undertaken, and process exonerated the processes which government has taken at that particular point in time. The processes which were taken under Anglo Ashanti, and those processes are still in process. Probably in our view is that people will account on those particular issues, because those are not issues that we can account on one day. It's a process that we need to undertake. So all of these issues, totally, whatever thing that is a negative connotation that goes to the against the African National Congress, it will also automatically affect it at the polls. Any other political party that can be marred by a number of scandals, and those are not dealt with to their logical conclusion, there is a section of society which will punish that particular organization into going to the polls.
Amos Monyela, thank you very much. I truly appreciate the engagement. Really, really honest. Thank you very much for your time. He is the chairperson of Cosatu in Gauteng.